Now I have a thought experiment for those of you who argue that metaphysics and epistemology and philosophy is irrelevant to science.
Okay.
This thought experiment, if you really contemplate it for a while, this is the final nail in the coffin of the idea that philosophy and science are supposed to be separate and independent. Here's the thought experiment. Imagine that you're in a really high quality VR simulation. Imagine you were born into it.
Okay.
Matrix style. This simulation is amazing. It has objects and it has a whole world, flourishing world, like a video game world, with people and animals and trees and stuff to study and examine. And so you're so fascinated by this virtual world that you're living in. Of course, you don't know that it's virtual. You're living in it, and you decide to become a scientist within this virtual world and to study this virtual world. Okay? So you devote your entire career to that. You spend 30, 40 years doing that. And then, as you're sitting there studying the simulation, someone like me comes to you one day and says, hey, you're really good at studying the mechanics of this simulation, but have you ever thought about what this simulation actually is?
Hey, what's up?
That you're studying? What is the actual substance? What is the truth? What's really going on here? What is this life that you're living? Have you ever thought about this?
It's hanging low.
And the scientist says, of course, as they typically do, that's outside my domain of concern. I don't care about that. I'm a simple scientist. I just do my experiments. I just study this phenomena. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about philosophy. Those are questions beyond science. Science does not care about that. These are issues of truth, and science doesn't pursue truth. Science is just a simple pragmatic activity. All we're doing is we're just mapping some variables.
Oh, you said the other day.
in life, and that's it. See, science is humble.
Retroactively saying hello.
And so you wave me away. So of course I leave because I can't convince you otherwise.
So I'm wondering if this was out in a mood. Oh, what does that even mean? I don't know. I'm wondering. Well, I'll continue with this objection.
And then one day, after a long, rich life, the simulation ends, and a new simulation begins.
Okay.
You're in a totally different world. Imagine switching video game discs.
Sure.
You're now in a totally different world, totally different environment, totally different people, animals, creatures, physical laws. Absolutely everything has changed.
What was happening?
Now, here's my question to you. What has remained of your science?
Nothing.
All of that science that you spent 40 years doing, is any of it true anymore? What has remained?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing remains. Everything you thought was true was only relatively true.
Clearly made of pixels. Yep.
Maybe it would have been useful for you to wonder about the bigger picture rather than just getting locked into your little endeavor of studying the laws and mechanics of the particular simulation that you were in.
Now, I don't actually agree with this point. I agree with maybe some of the point. Let me explain. I think it's totally fine to say that what you have, like if you want to have reality be this, let's say this is reality here, and this is physics, and physics explain this stuff, and anything that's not stuff, physics doesn't explain, and it's not real. It's not real. And we only concern ourselves with physical, materialistic reality. That is it. That is reality. And that is my only pursuit in this narrow field. Now, I think that's totally fine. And then, if Leo is talking about outside of the simulation, I think it's totally fine to say that stuff is not real. I think it's weird, bad, wrong to dismiss the not real as not valid. It's not real. It's not what I study. That'd be fine. I only study physics. That's totally fine. And you can study things beyond the simulation. I think that's a valid thing. I guess the obvious issue is that unfortunately most scientists they don't have this sort of openness. Hey, what's up? They don't have this sort of openness for allowing other people to study more broader fields or other things that are outside of reality. They sort of say that since it is not real, it is not valuable. Since it is not real, it needs to be dismissed. Since it is not real, it needs to be thrown out. It is just BS, nonsense, that sort of thing. I don't think we need that sort of mindset. I think there can be a person who is hyper-focused on materialistic reality, not concerned about some sort of broader outside reality. He said that in the other video, Mario is real. Yeah. He's getting loose with. He's not very clear about if he's limiting the definition of reality to the simulation and not, everything outside the simulation is not real, or if he's having a very broad definition of what real is, which includes everything outside of the simulation, above the simulation, the thing that's creating the simulation, everything within the simulation, and every virtual world within our simulation too. It's a little, he's not extremely clear about that. I would be more clear. Well, I don't think it's necessary to actually. Yeah, I think it's important to be clear about that. So I would just say that everything that's here within this reality, and we evaluate with physics, my personal language would be saying that that's real, that's reality, that's true, that's it. And everything that's not that is not true, it's not real. So spirituality and this sort of God stuff and this outside of the simulation things that he talks about, I would say that that is not real. It is nonsense, really. But I'm not saying that in a dismissive way. I don't think that you should not investigate it. You shouldn't investigate it using scientific method. You shouldn't investigate it using it the same way that you investigate physical things, because that would be the wrong way of doing it. But it is still valuable in some other sense, I think. You're not big on Leo days. Yeah, that's how I sort of see it. If it's outside of the sense, if it's outside of logic, so it's obviously not nonsense. Yeah, exactly. That's how I use the word. That's why I say things are nonsense all the time, very often. Because you shouldn't be using your logical mind, linear, physical, materialistic mindset. You should be getting out of it. You watched all of my TikToks. Lol. Wow. Hopefully you enjoyed some of them. They're pretty fun. You've never seen some of your TikToks about tea? Yeah. Sometimes he uses the wrong words and wrong analogies to explain things. Yeah, he hasn't a clear... he hasn't solidified his language very clearly to define things in a narrow sense or in a broad sense, which is unfortunate because it gets kind of muddied. It gets kind of unclear when he's saying that Mario is true, or our perceptions are true, or everything that we experience is true, and then getting beyond that and then saying that science is true, and then saying that things that are outside of science are true. It's not very clear what he means specifically. I do wish you were slightly more clear with that. And maybe we do need slightly more language to encompass that sort of mindset of being able to more freely talk about things that are... We need some more abstractable language. So what I mean by that is, if we are in this simulation, in our reality and things that we evaluate within our reality, we can call this reality, and we need some language for the things that are meta our reality, so the things that are running the simulation, right? We're in Mario, and everything that we evaluate within Mario is real. And the things that are outside of Mario, the things that the Wii system and the reality that's encompassing Mario is not real. We need a different word for that higher reality. And then we need a different word for the realities within our simulations. If we have a TV show, we need a different word for how we evaluate the reality of that TV show. But we don't have enough language for it. You get what I'm saying? We need a abstractable, higher, lower, meta, virtual, stuff like that. It's unfortunate that we don't have enough language for it, and it's unfortunate that he doesn't clarify that, so it gets really confusing if you're not aware that he's being kind of loose with the language. A reality
That's
show.
the thought experiment. Contemplate that for yourself. Now, people will misunderstand me here. People will think that, oh, Leo, so are you saying that we're inside of a VR simulation? Are you saying reality is a simulation? Actually, no. I'm saying exactly the opposite. I am conclusively saying that you can become conscious that reality is not a simulation. You are definitely not in a simulation. You can become directly conscious of this. But you may be in a dream.
Wow, let's think about that for a moment.